Discourse 3. Gentlemen, I have decided today to call you my mighty Minutemen, as I have watched the response to this desire to give protection to America. Can you feel with me for one moment the joy that fills my being? After more than 200 years, when I tried so long to bring about a united Europe and saw at last that it was useless, then, in your beloved, our beloved America, it seemed the last opportunity left, and so I took advantage of it. In assisting in the inception of your freedom here, I found those individuals, from time to time, strong enough and who were willing to listen and be inspired. Sometimes I came forth in the tangible body and gave the strength, energy, and assistance. Then today, I found these beloved messengers to be strong enough to withstand the terrible onslaught of viciousness, which, after all, is not just a personal thing. It is accumulated destructive qualities of mankind, and sometimes mankind a few are, off guard enough to allow themselves to be used by this sinister thing. But that is expected as long as mankind may have created these destructive qualities. And there is no power anywhere on earth that does create anything except that which is created by mankind, so far as your physical octave is concerned. Why is it done, gentlemen? Why do these limitations and these things exist? Because of the lack of understanding, and because mankind had forgotten this presence. They had forgotten the use of these words, I am. Why are they so important? Because when you speak the words, I am, you are announcing divinity, or the Godhead, at your point in the universe, and there is no power of human creation that can stand against those words. Once you understand and feel that, then you will begin to see yourself free from human limitations into which you have drawn yourself. For mankind, as a mass, are responsible for the discord and the limitations into which they move today. But because they have been unfortunate enough to create these conditions, gentlemen, beloved Minutemen, you need no longer continue in those conditions, because in the understanding of this presence, that is the governor of the universe. Then you can call its power through your individualized human forms, your flesh bodies. You can call the mighty power of that presence as directing intelligence and enfolding protection until no longer may one solitary thing of human creation or limitations drawn about you affect you in any way. Observe the chart for a moment. Observe the tube of light. You can call your mighty I am presence into action to make an invincible wall of light, tube of light, in which you can move untouched by the outer discord of the world. The messengers do that today. They stand a living proof before mankind that no viciousness directed at them can touch them, because they have called the presence to draw that tube of light about them, and they can move in the world, but not of it. You see in that tube of light the violet consuming flame. Now, gentlemen, it does not matter what the human opinion is. We know from our octave of light the truth concerning these things in your physical bodies and your world of activity. Every human being on the face of this earth has created discord through the hundreds and perhaps thousands of embodiments in which they have lived, similar to these, in every embodiment, some more or some less. Therefore, that is accumulated about them. And there is no means on the face of this earth of dissolving and freeing yourselves from that accumulation except by the use of the violet consuming flame, as you see illustrated there on the chart. You cannot do these things physically. You simply, from the physical octave, make the call to the great presence above you to place that tube of invincible protection about you. It will establish that tube of light and the violet consuming flame passing from your feet up. And it will dissolve every discordant thing you have created about you through the centuries. Gentlemen, I ask you, is it not worth any effort on the part of the human, which is but so slight in comparison to the great release that comes, to call the presence into action, to establish that tube of light, and use the violet consuming flame, and set yourself free, that you may go forth in the world, calling forth the powers of the presence, and, by your understanding of the imperative need, harmonizing your feeling? Your feeling world extends as far as your hands reach out, sometimes farther. But that is your feeling world, the world in which you can live, the only place, gentlemen, on the face of this earth where you or anyone can live. There is no other place. You are compelled to live in the world of your own creations. If you do not understand that what has brought you limitations can be dissolved by the power of the infinite intelligence, don't you see there is no means of freeing yourself? But today, in the fullness of its infinite power, how quickly it can be done. Take the beloved messenger standing before you. He was in as many limitations as any of you when those experiences began as recorded in Unveiled Mysteries. And when I saw within him and his beloved wife the strength, the power to withstand onslaught of mankind, even many associated with me in the octave of light questioned their strength. But notwithstanding, I said, I shall try it out. And did, successfully. So I say to you today, as I did to him in the beginning of those experiences, when I asked him to use the violet consuming flame and the tube of light, in 6 weeks he felt as though tons had been lifted off of his physical body. Therefore, beloved ones, what he has done, any of you can do. And unless you will do these things, beloved ones, there is no chance of your being free from the limitations into which you have drawn yourselves. Many of mankind, not understanding this, have believed that the genius, the ability of achievement was here, in the head. They never accepted the heart, but thought that within their giant intellect was the cause, the reason, the power for the achievement. But what is this intellect? Gentlemen, I ask you to listen a moment. When there is a so-called dead body lying before you, all those faculties, the brain, and all the faculties are there. All of the organs are there, but the body no longer acts, does it? Then where is all that intelligence, all that energy, strength, courage, happiness, and power with which that form was acting? Where is it then? Gentlemen, behold that stream of light coming from your presence. There is where all intelligence, energy, and all power with which your human forms act came from. There is no other place in the universe it can come from. Once you understand that, you will have touched your source, your powerhouse of light, your source of all intelligence. Then, gentlemen, you can, by keeping your feelings harmonized and by stopping all requalification by discord in your feelings, you can call this mighty energy forth and free yourselves forever from all limitation, and call forth from the treasure house of that presence all the money and everything else you require for use, because you are acting in accordance with the law of life, which is harmony. Therefore, gentlemen, there is not one thing in this world you cannot have that is constructive. If you understand this presence and abide within the harmony of its being and give the required obedience through your physical form and the laws of life. Let me remind you There is not one thing mystical or unusual about any of this. The words I am are the explanation of life brought forth here for your use to call forth its greater intensification at your point in the universe in your activity. Therefore, gentlemen, if you care to take hold of this which we know to be true, I guarantee you that in a short time you will have all the evidence in the world that you want of the power of this law of life to act, not only to protect and set you free, but to call forth that greater and greater happiness, courage, and strength into your life that makes you the master of yourself and your world. Your world cannot be mastered until first you, yourself, are mastered, because through your human form must flow the power from the great God presence of life that harmonizes, perfects, and brings the success into your world in whatever direction you may decide to direct that energy. Therefore, gentlemen, you are the choosers of how this energy is going to act for you. There is no one who can say to you, no one in this universe has a right to say to another, you shall do this and so. You are responsible alone to your own God presence. Now remember, gentlemen, the means or reason by which this great presence utilizes this great intelligent direction for you. Observe the chart, please. Between your own God presence and your physical form is your higher mental body, not pictured on the chart, however a form. The higher mental body is just as tangible in the higher octave as your physical body is here. It is through the higher mental body that the direct power comes. For your higher mental body knows the perfection of the presence, and also the imperfection, the undesirable creation which the human has drawn about itself, but will not accept the imperfection into its world. Therefore, when you call to the presence, your higher mental body, knowing the requirements, has all power to release and do the things for you which you call, and will do it, provided you will keep yourselves harmonized sufficiently. That is the means today by which mankind can come into their freedom and mastery. But look out! All the old occult methods and metaphysical angles of truth brought forth, all contained some part of the great truth of life. All have done a magnificent work for mankind, but it is not the fullness or completeness, and it cannot be until each human being knows that above him is his own God presence, to which he can call for strength, courage, and energy. Today, the impact of the discordant creation of mankind, as I have said to the students of America, is 10 times that of the atmospheric pressure of the earth. Therefore, you understand then the pressure you are under in your lack of understanding, in your inability to dissolve and consume the accumulations of the centuries. Therefore, today you are in a position to definitely dissolve and consume every limiting discordant thing that has ever been drawn about you through the centuries. Remember, gentlemen, think for a moment. After the accumulation of hundreds and perhaps thousands of embodiments, this is a great law of life, which is your life, that has seen fit to bring forth the understanding in its clearness and completeness today, by which you can dissolve, call the presence to dissolve, in a few weeks or months at most, practically all of the discord and accumulation that you have drawn about you through the centuries. Isn't it worth any effort on the face of this earth, gentlemen, to free yourselves and be the success in your chosen vocation you wish to be? There is not anything of mankind or all put together that can save you or stay your successful achievement once you understand this presence today in its all kindly, humble law of its being to produce its perfection and hold its dominion here. Not one thing of the human can stand before that presence here, because that mighty intelligence, that mighty energy which you call forth from that presence is light, self-luminous, intelligent substance, just as tangible in its own octave as your flesh is here. When you call that light from your presence forth, it just flows in, through, and around you, sweeps out all imperfection, and sets you free in the glory of its mighty directing intelligence. Those who have entered sincerely into the understanding of this and have given obedience to the laws of their life have found this to be true. Everyone will and can prove it. And as I have said repeatedly, everyone can prove this law right, and there is not a living person who can prove it wrong. You are not dealing with something mystical. You are dealing with the currents of energy of your own life. Therefore, gentlemen, it is practical. There is not one thing in the universe so practical as the application of your own life applied in your business or the world today. I say to you lawyers, judges, doctors, whatever your position may be, you, gentlemen, need not, when you come into this understanding, suddenly change your vocation in any way. Begin at the point in the universe where you are and apply that law. If you are a lawyer and are dynamic in your call and harmonious in your feeling activity and use the intelligence of your presence, it will make you a success beyond your fondest imagination. To the doctors, I will say, you will be inspired by the powers of the presence, and by your attention to it, you will suddenly know what to do to bring results that will astonish the world. I will say to the physical scientists, if they understood the ascended masters and would give their attention to the presence, the world would be transformed inside of a year, because the scientists' brains are already attuned to receive these scientific discoveries. Through them, the intelligence of the presence would flow forth into their activity, and it would be magnificent beyond words. But, beloved brothers of the light, when the intellect says it is all there is, it has bound you in the chains of some more limitations, and one day you will find that to be true. That is the source of life, and that is your mighty I Am presence. That is the only knower, the only intelligence, the only doer. And the human form is but the vehicle through which it acts. When you understand that and know you can turn to the presence in moments of great need, its intelligent energy, courage, and strength will flow in and through your body out into your world to harmonize any discord in the most magnificent manner any human being ever witnessed. Therefore, beloved ones, you are no longer subject to the conditions that exist in the world today. Now then, we have been talking to you about yourself and your application. Let me touch your hearts for a moment. And remember, if you have not read Washington's vision, I ask every one of you to do it, for this is the point upon which I wish to speak to you now. Europe is in the throes of such chaos as has never been known in the history of the world. I pleaded and worked with Europe for 300 years, but the human would not listen, and the conditions today are the outpicturing of that tremendous chaos that has accumulated. Do you not understand that the vibratory action of creation of its kind, if allowed to build, continues to grow and grow and grow into a great whirling vortex of mass destructive activities and qualities, and that is what is the matter with Europe today. Unless some tremendous miracle of light is performed, there is no hope for Europe. But you, today, in America, whose land has not been saturated by the blood of the waters of the centuries, have an opportunity, the last one on earth. That is why I am so grateful for the starting of the Minutemen's activity in America, for it gives an opportunity for you gentlemen to understand the need today of the protection of America, and it can be done. Invincible protection can yet be called about America, so that not one particle of war shall enter her borders, even though you are in the throes of dangerous activities. Every attempt of the sinister force is being made to bring war into America, and I swear to God it shall not be done. America must stay free. If she is drawn into that embroilment, she will invite into the center of America that terrible, destructive element as shown in Washington's vision. That is why we have been taking the messengers without a moment of rest throughout America, touching the heart of America and causing them to realize the need of protection of America today. If you don't, you will wish you had never been born in America or anywhere else. I tell you, gentlemen, you cannot see as we do. You do not know what is going on in the inner activities that is trying in every way to reach its claws into America and seize the people and draw them into the destructive degradation into which Europe is being drawn. You sometimes think your newspapers exaggerate, but you cannot know the conditions in Europe, the source of which is hidden, but it is not hidden from us. That is why, beloved ones, today we are speaking with such earnestness to the hearts of the American people, so they will make the call for America and hold the security and balance of America forever serene in the glory for 1,000 years in the incoming golden age. That has never been known in the history of the earth since the second golden age. That is why, beloved people, we have not given the messengers a moment's rest, and they are still going forward with only 11 days between classes, just enough time to get to the next city and give a few broadcasts that the people may touch and know of this work. I ask every one of you, beloved mankind, do everything you can to put forth these radio broadcasts and transcriptions as much as possible, that the people may be reached and that they may know and have the opportunity, if they will, to give this call to their own great God presence, and let the balance be held for the protection of America. That is why, beloved ones, we are calling to you today as never before. Think of it. We are in the octave of light, beloved ones. We are just as tangible as you are. Oh, just because you do not see us, don't let your intellect say we are not tangible. The ascended master is just as tangible as you are. In fact, more so. The cosmic beings are just as tangible as you are. Therefore, today, they are the only ones who can help you. Mankind, without the understanding of this God presence, cannot understand this, and they go on, dragging themselves into greater and greater limitations and into the vortex of this destruction more and more. The cosmic beings and the ascended masters have gone your way of life, has set themselves free through the ascension, not as disembodied spirits. Don't make that mistake. They are ascended beings, hundreds and thousands of them, who have made their ascension as beloved Jesus did, which is as practical as your mathematics of today. It is the fulfilling of the law of life. It is not an imaginary thing. Gentlemen, do not let anything instill into your mind that unhappy thing. Once you understand and know this, and you begin to call to your own mighty I Am presence and see the manifestation of its great courage, strength, and power flowing through you and out into your world, then you will see and know once and for all that there is a mighty God presence whose power does control the earth and its people. Once it is given a chance, it will do it. And we are pleading with you, knowing the requirements. If you will not listen, then you will come into that destruction. And if you enter into it, then shall we be compelled to turn our faces away, that we may not witness the destruction which will follow. Gentlemen, I say to you, a few individuals have tried to spread destruction and discord concerning the messengers and this work. When the need is so great today, can you understand what a tragic thing it is for such vicious creatures to try and drag people from this light, when it is for the protection of America and not one thing asked in the world but that? Silence that thing wherever you move, and don't let these things affect the glory of the freedom for you and the rest of mankind. The depravity of human beings, which tries to bring discredit upon this work when it is for the freedom of America and its activities, is unparalleled in the history of the earth. Therefore, if you allow these destructive things to come in, then all of you will pay the penalty. You will have not much time, dear people, not as you have had in the past. You are coming to the deciding point. We have held in abeyance for more than 18 months this mighty destructive thing that would have entered your America, hoping, feeling, and calling to blessed mankind that they would awaken and make the call that would give us the authority and power to complete the activity and perfection for you. Without the call of enough of mankind, we cannot do it. We cannot intrude upon your free will. If you insist on drawing yourselves into the complete destruction, then you will have free will to do so. But if you will listen and allow us to help you and make the call, and how do you let us help you? By your own call, which will give you greater courage and strength to do the things required. Only the day before yesterday, I walked the streets in the tangible body, visible to everybody because of the need in Washington today, as you have seen in your papers. And by the power of my own radiation there, I am trying by every effort within my being to hold the harmony and judgment of those men, that they will not make the wrong decision that will drag them into things they cannot extricate themselves from. That is what I am doing today, and don't let anyone think I am not tangible. Soon, if you will give your assistance, blessed ones, you will know me in my own tangible body, and I shall shake your hand and congratulate you on the strength of the light within your own body that enables you to make a condition where the great cosmic light permits the ascended masters to come forth in the tangible body and walk and talk with you. Then America and her people will be free forever. That is the condition standing before you today, beloved people of America, beloved Minutemen. You, as the Minutemen of America, if you will, in 3 months can hold the balance for the protection of America. Will you do it? We are pleading for you. We are free, of course, forever, but you are not yet. Won't your hearts feel the glory of this which I am calling forth from within you today, and give that eternal, courageous response, and be dauntless before the face of man in the explanation of this great truth, that more of mankind may come into this understanding? Read those books. By the power of God, there is not one single discrepancy in those books. It is because the viciousness of the minds of mankind becloud their intellect, so that they cannot think or understand them, that they find discrepancies. We use simple language, and always shall, until mankind understand these simple laws, and understanding them, set the laws into action that set them free. This is why today, gentlemen, I am speaking to you from my heart to your heart. For I know that any heart cannot fail to understand the earnestness of my being and the great need of America today, if America is to be saved from that destructive thing coming forth on the face of the earth. Therefore, beloved ones, with all the love of my being, I enfold you today with the glory of its eternal power, courage, strength, and enfolding presence that through your heart may release the light of your own God presence to set your world in order. Make your call quickly that gives the protection for America. Then, in that day, when this great chaos is pushed back, dissolved, and consumed by the great cosmic light, then shall I come forth and shake your hand, every one of you. Then will you know my reality. For just a moment, I want to call your attention to the great goddess of liberty, who is anchored above you here in this room for this special purpose today of pouring forth that mighty radiation to you, that you may forever feel and be sustained by it. Think of it, American people. In the name of God, I ask you to think of it. How was your Statue of Liberty brought into being? By the pennies of the children of France. That symbol is of this great cosmic being who gave Washington that vision and who has now come forth to try and prevent the fulfillment of the last episode of it. She recently said in her own discourse that at the time it was given, there did not seem to be a hope on earth for America's protection because the first two parts of it had already been fulfilled. But now, in the understanding of this that has come forth, she has found the opening, the opportunity for that infinite protection if enough of mankind will make the call. Magnificent. Think, beloved ones, you will excuse me if I speak of my own efforts, but when America's need was so great, the goddess of liberty, the great cosmic being, brought Lafayette with his assistance to America, and he gave his all to America, he being only a lad. Lafayette left his home and family to come and assist in the freedom of America. Then I brought von Steuben from Austria to train our American soldiers, and the victory was won. He gave all to America and passed from the human form here. Beloved ones, if those great ones would do that, then are you not sufficiently interested to enter into and understand wherein you can make the call to give the protection which they gave at that time? Oh, you do not comprehend that I might show you for a moment from the inner or higher octaves of light that great cause and effect which is moving on and on, so that you might see firsthand why I speak to you with such love and earnestness today. Oh, that it might reach the American people everywhere. In the fullness of my love, blessed Minutemen of America, I enfold you in my protection with its courage, strength, and happiness. And remember, joy is the great motor of life. As you feel that great power flow in and through your heart, out into your world that harmonizes and perfects it and gives you the power, strength, courage in the call to your great presence, which brings that great perfection to America forever sustained. I thank you.